Let us start. Yeah. So, hello everyone. Today we are going to have a second session for the Let's Talk AI uh, series of AI lectures or discussion sessions that we will be holding. And today we will be going through Pandas and NumPy. In the previous session, Shana was already told about NumPy in brief in the last, say, 10-15 minutes. And I won't be going over those because they're very basic and you can just go through the documentation or go through the previous video and you'll know. Prior to that, you also need knowledge about Python because the whole sessions, all the sessions will be in Python. So that is a prerequisite, and I expect all of you to know, or at least by the next session, you should be knowing Python. And so, yeah, and another thing that please do give your feedbacks before you leave. In the previous session, we received a feedback that you wanted to follow along with what I or Shahnaz will be doing during the session. And for that, what I'll do is I'll say discuss about a few functions and possibly show you what they are, and then I'll give, say, for example, 5 to 10 minutes, and then you can do it yourselves, and if you have any questions you can ask that. So doing that will help you to follow along with what I will be showing in the dinner sessions. And with that, we should begin. So we'll be using two libraries, the NumPy and Pandas. First of all, I'll show a few more functionalities with NumPy. Say, for example, let us say, for example, we have something called profits, right? And we are creating a list. Say, for example, 12.34, 98.54. Then let's say there's a loss 32.71. Then there's another loss 21.66. Then we have, say, for example, 30 point some units. We don't need to understand that what is a unit. And then we go to the next cell, and yes, so what is profits? Profits is a list, right? If we go to type profits, so we'll see that it's a list. Now, for example, if you want to do a lot of tasks with these numbers, then it would be better for us to use NumPy, as you will see. Say, for example, we want to create this as a NumPy array, then I'm just writing P so that PR, so that I have to write less in the next few lines. So NumPy.array profits. And now if I go to type PR, then I'll see that it's a numpy.nd array. So it's n-dimensional array. And here the dimension is obviously a one-dimensional array, right? One dimension. Yeah. So if you want to see how many values it has, then we can go pr.shape and it will give you 5 comma. It is an awkward thing that happens that it will write 5 comma and not 5. So don't worry about that. That's all right. So let's say, for example, we want the mean of this. So we can just write np.mean and then we include PR, and then we see this is a mean of all these values. So for example, we want the absolute values. So we can just go np.abs PR. We can do that. Say np.std. Yeah, std. Yes, std. Then we'll get the standard deviation. If you want to check all of the functions, you can just write np dot and then control space to get all the possible values that we have here, and that's a lot. Okay, so you can check those. Also, you can go for the object, that is pr dot. You can write, and then there will be a few others as well, right? Let us. হ্যাঁ লিখতে হবে না, তুই তো ভিডিও পেয়ে যাবি, চাপ নেই। আর এগুলো তো মানে
ডকুমেন্টেশন আছে,
ডকুমেন্টেশন আছে তো, কোনো প্রবলেম নেই, অত চাপ নিতে হবে। দেখ খালি দেখতে থাক। Okay, if you want a list, for example, then we can just pr2.toList and it will create a list of this, right? Okay. Now let us say we have a selling price, right? So I let SP selling price equal to, let's say, 100. Now what I want to do is that sorry, not the selling price, cost price is 100, right? Now what I want to do is that I want to find the selling price, either the profits, either the cost price. I want to the selling price, and what I have to do is SP equal to PR plus CP, just this, and you will see that will get SP with all the subtractions and additions done. What happens is that it, for every value inside this array, it will just add say 100 CP to all of these. In other words, you can also say that this is what is happening, that is, just copy these two. Anybody said something?
No, continue.
Yeah. So it's as if this happened. That is, we have 12.3400, add it, then we get this. And as you can see, this 100 actually became a list, or I must say np.array, sorry for that, I must say np.array of 100, where every element of this and this was added to get this, right? So this is called broadcasting. So when you give one unit of something, say this was 100, and this was repeated over multiple times to do it over all the values, then this is called broadcasting, right? Say for example, I'll show another example. Let's say I'm taking just an array arr1 equal to, let's say it's a matrix. Okay, I'll just write np.array, right?
NumPy broadcasting is what is when you do any operation with a single value and another is a collection of values. So the single value is being operated with a collection of values. That is NumPy broadcasting.
Let's say I have this, right? Let's say -1, -2, -1, right? And I want to do mat plus AR, say for example. See, this got broadcasted over the two arrays. Is it -1, -2, -1? This was added to this, and again 2, 3, 4 added with -1, -2, -1. So we got a new array which was MAT plus broadcasting of ARR over these two arrays. So this was actually a one-dimensional, this is a two-dimensional array. It is a matrix. This is how it works. So NumPy does it for us automatically. This is what is broadcasting. So, and then we can also have, let's say, np.arrange, sorry, np.arrange, yeah. So what np.arrange does is that, okay, you will see what it does. Okay, you will see. Let's say let's try to 10, and you will see that it actually does what almost what a range does, but it creates an array, a NumPy array from 0 till 10 - 1, that is 9. Again, you can like hover over it and like see that. Okay, no, not hover, but this will get it. Yeah, return start, stop, step, and you can also give t type. What range does is that it doesn't give any float value. It only gives int. Here you can give float as well. So you can write 0, 1, 0.1, and you will get float values, right? So this is very helpful as well. And I go to the next. Anything else that I need to show? Shahnaz, I'm forgetting anything. Is there anything I need to show as well?
No, the basics are already over. No issues.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Let us try argmax. Okay, argmax is another important function that you'll use many times. Let us do this for the matrix. I'll just like do and show you what it does. So argmax for the matrix. So I'll just print the matrix once more. So it actually prints 5, which means that it is a fifth index. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let us do with axis equal to 1. Then this will be more. So you see, this is 2, 2. So 2 means 2 doesn't mean this 2. 2 means okay. I'll just change it so that you don't have any confusion. Okay, just wait. Let's do 10, 20, 30. Okay, wait. Why do we have to do all the work? We can just write into 10. This will work. Yes. And if we just print matrix and then this one, yes. See, this is again 2, 2. 2, 2 means the index at 2. That is 0, 1, 2. Here we have the maximum. Argmax means the maximum value. So then we also have argmin. So argmax is actually the maximum in this array. That is 30. In this array we have 40. Okay, again this is for axis equal to 1. Axis, okay, in any place where you have to write axis equal to something, always 0 means a row and 1 means the column. Okay, see, this is 1, 1, 1. So here we have 20, this is 30, here is 40. That is 1, 1, 1. So this is 0, this is 1, this is 0, this is 1, this is 0, this is 1. So that is how we get it. For larger dimensional arrays, so like 3, 4, we can also have axis equal to 3, axis equal to n minus 1. So like for 3 we can have axis equal to 2, for 4 we can have axis equal to 3, and so on and so forth. So these are the basics. Before we move on, would you like to try all these functions? I'll have them on the screen here. If you want to try, you can. Or I'll move forward. So if anyone wants to try, then tell me, then I'll wait for 5 minutes.
So people, okay, Orgodip is saying he's trying. Okay, I'm sharing a link in the chat. So there is the notebook for all the functions and libraries with this NumPy. So if anybody wants to try them out at home, so they can do so. I'm just sharing the notebook. All the functions of NumPy are there. Just click on that. It will open a Colab window, and there will be cells. So Swadesh, will you just give a quick demonstration of that? Like, click on the
Okay,
notebook
just
link
a
I sent.
second. Just a second.
It is basically an extract from the book, the Python Data Science Handbook by Jake Vanderplas. Uh, it comprises of almost all of the required functions. There are a few extras also. So it is basically description of the thing which they are doing, and then they do the thing, then they show the output. So you can go on exploring one statement one after the another. And the detailed documentation is also there. Another link is there. It's open in Colab below each book, which you can click, and it will open a Colab under your own Google account. So you can try it out there also. This is basically a read-only notebook. If you want to try it out, it will you just create a copy of this under your own account, and you can follow along after that. Yeah. So after this, see, this is the introduction to NumPy. Just scroll down a bit. So you'll be
Oh,
going this. Yeah. So this is the basic intro. Then the what is that? Just open this once again. Okay. The intro to NumPy is given. This is the first notebook. There is a series of notebooks basically under this, which contains all of that. So once you are finished with a single notebook, then click on the next, which is understanding data types in Python. So the right one. You can also go to the previous notebook using the left one. So clicking on the next opens another notebook, which contains the next part, which is this understanding data types. After this, it also contains, yeah, so go through this notebook from the starting and then just end it. After that, go to the next notebook, and like this, you can continue with the whole of NumPy. So let's go to the contents thing once. Scroll down and go to the contents. It is a bit more detailed, so you can skip those things if you don't want to. Like, also you can also go through this if you want to know more about NumPy. But all of it is not required in the daily tasks of AI. Yeah, this is the second one. See, the introduction to NumPy. So it is basically categorized into various bullet points. First is the data types, and then the basics of NumPy arrays, then the computation on those arrays, then the functions or the aggregations using those arrays, like the minimum, maximum, and all those things. Then the computation, like the broadcasting thing, which he already explained before. That thing is quite beautifully explained there, so you can go through that once. Then the comparisons, masks, and Boolean logic. So this masks and Boolean logic, this masks part is not so important, but the Boolean logic is, yeah, it is again important, which will be used again in the pandas and other things when we'll be visualizing the data. And this fancy indexing is not that important. The sorting arrays is another very important part, and then the structured arrays. Okay, so the fancy indexing only you can skip, else the other things you have to do. I mean, all the basics are already mentioned there in a like playground way, so you can try along with the
I
codes
just
given.
show 2 or 3 things I remembered.
Yeah.
So just like we can do pr dot max, and again then pr dot mean as well. So that is something I forgot. Another thing I forgot is sorting. So there are many ways you can sort. One of them is just pr dot sort. In Python also there's a sort function, so you can use that as well. Okay, pr dot sort is doesn't sorts it inside, so doesn't, yeah. So you see this is sorted. Yeah. Also, if you want, you can just divide, say let's say by 2. If you just in any case that's required, and it will divide all the numbers by 2. Just like you uh, do with any single number, you can do it over the array, and it will broadcast it over all the values. So
So
I
this
guess we should continue. Yeah.
Yeah. This sort method. So just for the info, this sort method uses the quicksort algorithm to sort. Also, various other algorithms are also available, like the merge sort and the heap sort. So you can also try on with those. But the default one which sort uses is the quicksort method, which has an n log n complexity. Yeah, so we can proceed after that. So all of this is mentioned in the thing which I just gave, that notebook link. So there is a series of notebooks. So go through the NumPy thing, and every function will be familiar. Yeah, so we can continue with the pandas, I think, next.
Yeah. So basically for pandas, what we will be doing is there's a data set already given in Colab. If you go to your files section, then you go to sample data, and here you'll find California housing train and California housing test. We can use this. First, I will show you another functionality that I think might be important. It happens in Python as well. It's not just a feature for Python notebooks, but it happens in simple Python as well. So if you write exclamation mark, and then if you want to give any command, any say command line terminal command, you understand what I mean? If you want to give any terminal command that you have, then you can write it using exclamation mark. Right. So for example,
Likewise,
you can
when you are installing any package, say like pip install and then the package name. So just after the exclamation mark, you write whatever command you were usually writing in the terminal thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, so the exclamation mark and then the
so
command,
like by pip
something.
install, then if you want pandas you want to install pandas, you can just go for it, and it's already installed in Colab, so we don't have to install it separately. I'll just show you one. Let's say we want to just move this to our content. So okay, this basically when you are in Colab, this is the content folder inside which we have sample data. So if you want to move this to content, you can just drag and drop. That is there. I'll just show you with this, and for getting the path, maybe the path is too long, you don't want to write it, and just right click and then copy path. So that will be enough, and you can just write content slash, and this will copy it, and you can refresh it here, and you'll see that this is inside the content folder, right? If you want, you can also go for the test one as well. So for example, yes, so here we have the two files. Okay, so these are the CSV files. What is a CSV file? CSV file is nothing but text file in which all the values are separated by a delimiter, and there's a say for example there's a new line at the end of each line. So for example, let me show you, you'll understand better. We can say for example we have values like 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we want a new row. So a new row is a new line. Then we go to the next line and we write, say for example 4, 5, 6, 7, and comma is called a delimiter. CSV means actually comma separated values. So these values are separated by commas. Similarly, you can have TSV. TSV means tab separated values, and so on and so forth. So CSVs are very useful because they just do what they are required to do, just store the values. Don't have to store extra spaces, enters, and all of that. So that is very useful. We have a function in NumPy as well to read CSVs, to read the data from CSVs, which Shahnaaz shared in the previous session. But we'll be here using pandas, because what pandas does is that it gives many tools to analyze the values in all of those columns, get to know what are the column names and so on. You'll see what I mean. Let's say we write df equal to, so we have created a variable called df. Df stands for data frame. So what pandas does is that but it reads from a CSV, it creates a data frame object. Okay, so this data frame object stores all the columns, all the values, and other info that it needs to store, and it has all the functionalities like, say, for example, calculating mean, median, and all of this. So let us see how it happens. Let we have pd.read_csv for reading from. Again, I just copy the path and give the path. If you just pass the path, it will do its work. And we have the file, the contents of the file inside the variable df. If we enter df, then the pandas has a very good visualization tool, so it will just visualize this. I create a table of all the rows and the columns, and as you can see here, this is, as you can see, if you just open this file, Colab also has a pandas implementation, and it will not show you in terms of commas and slash n, I mean new lines, but it will again create a table for you. So Colab has this good feature as well. And coming back to the code, yes. So if you don't want so many rows to be printed, let's say you want just 5 rows, so you can just write head. Okay, so head means the first 5 rows. You can also go for tail. Similarly, if you want, say, for example, 7 rows instead of 5, you can just write df.head 7, and it will print the first 7
So
rows.
this,
Yeah.
Sorry for interrupting. So I'll just tell you 2 things before starting with this. So this DF and all these things. So pandas has basically 2 types of objects. One is a series and another is a data frame. What are series and what are data frames? When you deal with pandas, you can say like these are the variables of pandas, you may say. Like these are the types of variables basically. So one is a series, another is a data frame. What is a series? A series is basically, you can compare, or maybe you can compare with the analogy that it is a one-dimensional array of indexed data. So that is a pandas series. For example, say like you have a list of values, say the profits thing. So the profits thing was a list of values, and in pandas we call that a series. So we can create a series by like, say, data. So data equals to pd dot series with s in capital. Will you just show that once here?
Yeah. I'll just show that.
Yeah. So yeah, pd dot series and then the list in third brackets. Yeah. So this is the pandas series. It is a type of objects. You can say a indexed one-dimensional array. So the 0, 1, 2, 3, these are the
1, 2, 3.
indexes, and 1, 2, 3, 4 are the values associated with those indexes. And the in data type, which is here, is int 64. You can treat it as integer. So one thing is this, the series. So where you can convert a list of one-dimensional, list of values presented in a one-dimensional array to the series thing. Another thing what is there in pandas is data frame. So what is a data frame? Like you see, you saw that in series, this is a one-dimensional array. You can compare data frame like it is a two-dimensional array, in which there may be indexes row-wise or there may be indexes column-wise. You can compare it with a table basically, like how a table is there, like with rows and columns. So that is a data frame. Yeah, now we will continue. Like here we were exploring this data set, this California housing train .csv. So this is a pandas data frame basically. See, there are many rows, many lists of values. So where the 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on the left hand side, leftmost side, these are the indexes, and the longitude, latitude, housing median age, total rooms, these are the basically the columns, or you may say the column names or the column wise indexes. And when we write this df.head and we pass a value in between, so it basically gives the n number of rows starting from the first head. Yeah, now continue.
Yeah.
So
So
these were the
what's
series
the
and data
purpose
frames.
of 7? SKS, what's the purpose of 7? Yeah.
7
No,
means the
that is
number
not
of values you
important. You
want to
can
see.
just anything you want to. Just how many you
df.head,
want to investigate.
yeah, say the
Okay,
first
okay.
n values from the head. From the head means from the start.
Yeah. From the
First
start,
any
the
n,
first values. You can also have like tail. Similarly, the
So
last
tail
5
last
means,
values.
5 values. Okay.
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. So continuing. Anything else, Shana? So I missed.
No, these were the basics only, the series and the
Okay.
data frame. Yeah.
Okay. So continuing, we have a few more function we can do for at first. For example, we can do df.info, and this will print some information about the data frame. So as you can see, first of all, it says what is the class, what is the type of this data frame, as Shana told that it's a data frame. The range index, how many entries are there from 0 to 1699, so that's 17,000. The data columns, every column, how many values there are, how many non-null values there are. So out of the 17,000 entries, all the 17,000 are non-null. What is meant by null? Null is actually, for example, okay, you know null, I guess. It is not any value, so it has an ASCII character of 0. So that is null. And say, for example, in total rooms in this particular we had null, so it would be displayed as either null, or it would be displayed as not any value, that is nan, N-A-N, right? So then that means that it doesn't have any value. Okay. Or in terms of storing, it would be stored as comma, then there will be nothing, then again some one comma, so consecutive 2 commas, and there is no value for this total rooms. That would be equivalent to null value, because nothing is stored for there. So continuing, we have the D type as float 64, which is 64-bit representation of float values. And then we'll go to, let's say, describe, df.describe, and here you will get a very interesting statistics versus where the mean, the standard deviation, the mean, minimum value, 25%, 50%, 75% values, and a max. And so this is something that is very useful, because furthermore we'll be studying, doing analysis and all of that. So this is something that's very useful in data science as particularly. So next we can go for, let's say,
who is
we want to
accommodated with, I mean, accustomed with statistics things, the basic things like mean, median, mode, then the
I guess
quartiles and
everybody has
standard
studied in
deviation.
12, right?
Yeah.
Mean, median,
I
mode,
think that
and
those
25%
things
of
only.
deviation is the 25% value. That is the 25 percentile value actually.
First quartile is that, then the second quartile is 50%,
First
and third
quartile,
quartile
second quartile,
75%.
third quartile is a mean, is a max. Actually, the quartile is not 25%. Quartile is like mean to 25% is the first quartile, 25 to 50% is the second quartile, 50 to 75% is the second, third quartile, and 75 to max is fourth quartile. Quartile means 4, so we have 4 divisions. Mean 25%, 50%, 75% to max. Percent here, by percent here I mean percentile actually, 75 percentile value. Okay. If you want to view only one or maybe 2 longitude and latitude, we can write df longitude, and we will get the longitude series. This is actually a series, as Shana's told previously. But we can also write df dot longitude. Okay, this is only true for like single words, like there is no 2 words, like there is no space in between. So we can write df dot longitude, and we will get the same thing. I'll just write df latitude. It's the same thing. Now, if we go for, maybe we want 2 of these, so we can give a list of all the, so df, then we have the brackets, and instead of going for just one string, we want latitude, longitude displayed simultaneously, then we can go for latitude, comma, longitude, right? And we would have this data frame. You can clearly see that there's a difference between how it presents a series and how it presents a data frame. So next we can also go for all these. We can also these we can go for each individual column as well. So let's say we want df longitude and then dot count. we'll get the count. Similarly, we can go for max, let's say. We can also do another thing, that is max value minus 114. Yes, we can also do one thing. We can find out the unique values. So you can get unique, yes, and we'll get an array of all the unique values. This won't mean anything to you much, but if we get the length, let's say for example we get the length of all the unique values, and then we'll see that it's only 827. So out of the 17,000 values that latitude has, only 827 are unique. Sorry, longitude we have just 827 unique. So this is something which is somewhat useful, obviously. Okay, we can also go for df. Just a second. Longitude dot we have. Okay, let us go for sorted. Okay, we can go for sorted df itself. We don't have to go for that. Yeah, we can go for sorted. Say for example, we want to sort it by one column. So we need to sort it, say for example, by let's say median house value, right? Median house value. We want to sort it by this. So as you can see here, there's a parameter by which is by, right? So we can view that as well. So okay. Anyways, I will just. Oh, so not sorted. Sorry. Sort. Yes. Sorry. So as you can see here, we have by, yes, and axis equal to 0, then ascending equal to true, and then you also have the quick sort. Here we can also go for other quick sort, merge sort, heap sort, anything that you want. And as you can see, it's starting from 1499 and going up all the way till 500,001. Right. So we have that as well. We can also we can do as a list. Say for example, we want to do with median house value, and say here you want to do with median income. So the first it will be done using median house value, and then it will be done using median income. Then you can go for this, and as you can see here, this is also sorted. This you won't find it sorted fully, but it will be sorted within the range. That is, for 1499 you will find it sorted, and again 500 you will find it sorted. So that is how it will work. Obviously, I guess that is logical, I guess. Okay. One thing that I should mention, that sort values doesn't sort it. So for example, if I sort it and then give it back to df, so that it doesn't take the let's say pointer, but it actually gets a copy of it. So if you again go for df, you can see that it hasn't changed yet. This is 66 and this is 14. So we have to assign, say for example, and then if we print, then we'll find that df is now changed. Okay, so I guess that was one portion that I'll again, there are many more, say for example, lock, ilock, add. Do you want to practice this? I mean, do this. I want some responses, because otherwise I won't be able to understand. Do you want to do this, or shall I continue? I mean, practice up till here.
Yeah, I think
what
we can continue.
len, the function of alien len.
Function of?
Len means alien. Len means length, the size.
Oh, len means length. That is the number of values. I might say. I'll just show you. If you do this, then it will tell me how many values are there. So there are 3. But if we go for a, so let's say, list within a list, so nested lists, then it will only show one. See, this is one. So say for example, we give it an iterable. It can be any iterable. It has to be an iterable, and it will just give you how many variable, what should I say, how many values it has, it contains. That can be a list, that can be a tuple, that can be anything. So as you can see, as an there's a list, empty list, and here there's a list containing 3 values, and the output is 2. I guess any other doubts? Anybody want to say anything?
People are saying on continuing, so I think we should continue. People are saying for continuing, so I think we can proceed.
Continue. Okay. So we have a
Right at
df.shape,
the
as you can
notebooks
see. As you can see, this is a df.shape. Shape means just the number of rows, comma the number of columns. It's also there in NumPy as well. So if I guess I showed you, right? So that's there. And next what we'll do is, say for example, we want to find out all the columns with latitude 37.79. How do we do that? We do that using loc. So how that happens is df.loc is loc, and we do not give a second parenthesis. We go for the third bracket, the square bracket, and here we'll write our condition. So we have that we'll go for latitude, and then equal to, just as you do in any language, we have 37.79. Now if we press shift enter, then you'll get, see, all the latitudes, all the rows with latitude equal 37.79. So that is where loc is very useful, LOC. And say for example, you want to give another condition, so you give and I guess here we have and then we want, say for example, let's say for example, median income is less than, let's say, 5, right? Okay, I guess this way. No. I guess.
Yeah, just a second.
Yes.
Sorry for interrupting. Just someone was asking like how to start from middle. Bitan, I think. So how to start from the middle of the head says it is starting from the first, tail says it is starting from the second. How to pick out any from the middle? So those things.
We can go for 2 ways. What we can do is, we have the sample, right? And then we can do this, and it will give me sample of 10 values. So
and these gives any 10 random values.
10 random values, yes.
Yeah, 10 random indices. He was asking like how to pick out any 10 specified values which I say. You have to use slicing for that.
Yeah,
for example, you want to
for
pick
that
out any like
yes. So you need, say for example, if you want, you can go for iloc, and then you want, say, 100 comma all the columns. So this means this is for the rows, and this part is for the columns. So all the columns and the 100th row, then you can go with iloc. Yes. So here you can see that for the 100th index, we will have all of these values. If you want to say 100 to 200, then you can just 200 to 200. So there's a colon in between, and you will get all the 100 values from 100 to 199. Here you can see that all these index are changed because previously I sorted all those values. That's why it's changed. I'll just show you with the unsorted ones. So I just read once more, and then okay. If anybody doesn't know, in Jupyter Notebooks or in Colab, what you can do is go up and go to any cell for that matter, up, down, wherever you want. Execute that cell. What execute means that running this cell, right? And then go back to any other cell that you want and then run this. Okay. So for example, if I run this again, I will just get the indices from 100 to 199. So in this, while just a precaution, while working with Jupyter Notebooks, you need to be aware, you need to have in your mind what are the cells that you have run, that you've executed, and then you need to proceed. Say, for example, you forgot to maybe execute one of the cells, or maybe you executed, just like I executed df dot p.read CSV, and now if I am searching for random values like here, but I am getting 100 to 109, then I need to remember that I had actually executed the p.read CSV, and the value for df has actually changed inside the memory. So yes. So as I was saying, we have df.ilog and df.log. I guess I'm missing something. I'll just show you for the for now with only one condition. So we have households. We can also go for two conditions. That is there, but somehow I'm missing something. Let's say 200. Yes. So all those households with less than 200. I mean regions with less than 200 households will be shown here. Okay. So basically, why lock and ilog? Ilog is for when you have some range, when you have in some integer that you want to give, and then lock is for some condition that you want to give. If you want to give just df.households, you will just see what happens. I guess it will print the yes, it will print all of the rows, 17,000 rows. You just give df.household. Yeah.
Sorry for interrupting. So just one, two things I would like to mention, like it would like look like confusing when we use lock, when we use ilock. So these types of location, so you need to know what are these two exactly. So the pandas, the indexing in pandas basically works in one of these two paradigms. The first one is this index based selection, means selecting the data based on its numerical position in the data. Like ILOC is ilock. This follows this paradigm, the index based selection, where you cannot put any specified like values, I mean those specific columns, but you will need to, I mean, index those using only the numbers, the index numbers. So this is basically ilock. And ilock, you need to mention as range of rows or maybe a range of columns using the slicing thing. I mean, using that. Who is this? Please mute yourself. Okay. So you have to mention the range of indices. Say, for example, for 100 to 200 thing, you cannot do like mention any text. Like, for example, you want to extract this housing median age. So you cannot mention like this, that you need to mention like comma 2. So 0, 1, 2. That's 2 would mention that it is the housing median age. That index number you always need to refer to the values. This happens in ilock. And now what happens in lock, LOC, is that it is basically label based selection. In this is another paradigm in which pandas works. So in this paradigm, it is the data index value, not the position, which matters. Say, for example, now if you want to extract any specific column, say like total rooms or maybe total bedrooms, you can explicitly specify in quotes this total rooms, this we want to extract. Say, for example, so let's just write in one cell that df dot LOC lock, and then in the first thing, in the first argument, just pass on 0. Yeah, df dot LOC. Yeah, in the first argument, just pass on 0. I mean the rows.
df.lock or ilock?
Lock. No, lock. This is the label based selection. So the 0 and comma, then just pass in any column value, like anything, population, total bedrooms, anything in quotes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So this basically gives that value
Cell
which is in
value.
the first row and the longitude, that cell value. Okay, so here you may also want to see like for example, you want to see the 3 columns at a time, say total rooms, total bedrooms, and the population. These 3 columns you want to see for say the first 5, or say for example the first row. You want to see these 3 columns for the first row. So you will need to pass 0, and after that in the second argument you need to pass those number of columns separated by comma which you want to see at a time. So here you will be putting longitude, then comma, then whatever. So put another thing like households, or maybe, yeah, just put another, yeah, okay. So this gives the latitude and the longitude, these values, and just put in, yeah. So you can keep on adding, like if you want any like 3, 4 number of columns of any specified row, so you can also put that. So these are basically this level based. You put in the label names. So this is happens between this lock and iLock. Another thing you need to consider, like the basic difference between lock and iLock, which is very important, is that when you are, using lock and iLock, there are different indexing schemes. The iLock, when you are using iLock and you are mentioning a range, for example, say 0 to 100 or something, so it will consider takes the indices in an inclusive order. I mean, it would start from, say, for example, if you mention 0, then colon, and then say 100. So it will basically pick out the 101 values from the 0th index to the 100th index, not 100 exclusive. It is 100 inclusive. This happens in this LOC, lock. So this difference you need to keep in mind when you are using these lock and iLock. Okay. Yeah, so you can continue. So this after this.
Okay. Okay. So also, just to tell you another thing that also happens is when I am actually giving, say one condition, say as I was here giving less than say 100. Yeah. So this is again returning a data frame with less than 100 households. What this does is it executes this condition and returns a true false series, right? That's an array, right? A series, and it checks for every row what is the value, is it true or is it false. So for conditions it checks like that. Just to
It
add on
basically
what,
returns those rows which has that households value less than 100. It only returns
ultimately
those
it
rows.
does that. Yeah, it gives the rows. It gives the rows which have that particular given value. So
It filters
yes.
out basically based on the condition you mentioned.
Okay. So okay, yeah. I forgot another thing is that we can also go for add. Okay. So what does add do? Add does the very same thing. Let's say, but in a different way, obviously. So it will just go for this. I guess I did something wrong. Yes. Yes. So as you can see, again it's almost the same thing, but in a different way of doing the thing. Let's say you want the give the you want the longitude, but you have the latitude value. Say for example,
You can directly specify which row and which columns value you are wanting to extract. That happens in AT.
you can go
The
for that.
column value is longitude. No, not this.
No,
Like
I
the
just
first argument is the row value.
No, you can do it.
No. The first argument is the row value and the second is the column value. So just put in any integer there. Yeah, 10. So it would return you. No, that remove that. This put at, yeah. So this would return you the longitude value of the 10th row, which is there. So this happens by at. You can directly specify which row and which column you are wanting to extract directly. All right, so change the value once. So change the longitude and change the 10 also. Just check. Yeah.
Change.
Now you are say wanting to extract any. Yeah, just change 200. Yeah, anything. And just change that also. Yeah. Say for example, you want to extract. Is there any median? Okay. Median housing median age. Okay, median income. All right. Yeah, so it is returning the median income of the 20th row, which is there. So at helps you to directly specify which row and which column you are wanting to extract. That value it would return.
Okay. Okay. So continuing, another thing that I guess with lock, ilock and add. Acha, just before we continue, is lock, ilock and add clear to everybody? I mean, anything more you want to understand? What is the difference between Jupyter Notebook and Google Colab? It's just that Google Colab is implementing Jupyter Notebook on its own server. There's another difference. There are certain magic words. Say, for example, if you have no TensorFlow, then you can go for TensorFlow version. This is only for Google Colab, right? Again, also there are multiple of these. And just remember TensorFlow version for now. You see all these magic functions that you can go for. Some of these are also there for Jupyter Notebook, but not all. So there's that also. Any questions still up to here? There's not much left as of currently. I guess we have covered most of it. Okay, so we can also go for, let's say, okay, median house value, median income, households. Let's just do one thing. We can say there's no meaningful.
Another thing is there, say like, another thing is there, say like in a column, say when you are dealing with real world values or real world data sets, not all value will be as you are desiring. I mean, say for example, there may be various nan values or null values present in between the whole data set. So there is another useful method which is there, which using which we can extract which the first valid index. So like, yes,
is null, right?
null. Continue. There is another thing I'll tell later on.
No. Is null.
Yeah, just put it the df dot dot. I mean, put that thing that in square brackets and put the column name.
Okay.
Yeah, put in anything, longitude. Yeah, okay. And then like dot first underscore valid underscore index. So it basically gives you the first non-empty value there, which is there. If there are many not a null or null values, so it would ignore the null values and it would give you the first valid thing, valid value which is there. No bracket. It would work as it is. No bracket.
No, bracket say method बोल
Just run it.
Bound method.
Yeah. See, so from 1 to no. It was all right. Remove the bracket.
No, we actually should give a bracket and not, because that is a bound method of data frame, right?
Yeah. But we'll be exploring what is the values here. First valid index. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4. See, these are the starting 4 rows. I mean indexes, and these are the ending indexes, and these are the longitude values. So since here there are no null values before 1, I mean the starting longitude is only, there is a value like -114 something. So it would return from that. Say for example, if you modify any value and put in 1, 2, 3, say 3 nulls at the first, so it would return us from the 4th row. So this happens in first valid index. You can extract the first valid value in any column, which is a non-null thing.
Okay. No, there's also this for null, for checking null. I'll just check what is the function. I forgot. Bf dot is null. Yes, there is no. There's no.
Is null.
Not null, right?
Is null, not null. Yes, not null.
Okay. Is null will actually return a false for not null. Yes. Not
just put there df dot loc. This is also there. Just put there df dot loc. say for example, we are wanting to work with any single column, say for example with the longitudes or maybe with the median income. So just put the df dot loc, then put that what is that, median income or something. Put that median income, no, df dot I mean df, then in brackets median income, the whole thing. Yeah, df, then in
Okay,
brackets
okay, okay,
median
okay.
income. Yeah, then dot, not null, no, not there, yeah, there, before the ending thing, dot, not
Oh,
null.
okay, 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 okay.
Then first and third, yeah, so it would return you the, if it is null or not, the values in the median income column. See, the only not null values are returned in the median income thing. Those
Yes,
rows you
yes.
will only get.
Mhm.
All right, so these are the various tools like you
So
will
as you
be
can see here,
needing.
they are true. Everything, every value is true. So that's why. Okay, two more, I guess I'll show because yeah. So another is, if you want to say, for example, drop a column. What does drop mean? Means that we remove that column. So we can just write the column name. For example, here we write median house value, and it will drop median house value. We didn't have the median house value, right? Median house value. Yes.
And you have to put the columns thing. Df dot drop. There is argument like df dot drop. Then in first brackets columns equals to. Then put the column name. Columns equals to.
Just a second. Just a second.
Yeah, it is
Oh,
there.
okay, okay,
See,
okay.
columns.
I need to write right columns. Okay, okay, okay. Now it's okay. Also, we can add some columns. Let's say, for example, df. And just for an example, how many rooms are there for per bedroom, right? So if we have rooms underscore bedrooms, so that means rooms per bedroom, right? We can actually add a new column, and then what we can do is we can go for df, then total rooms. As you can see in the columns, we have total rooms, and then slash df bedrooms, right? If we add this, I hope it doesn't. Yeah. df, then you can see that it has actually calculated for every row the room by bedroom, rooms by total bedrooms, and then it has added this column called rooms bedroom, and it there we can find so how many rooms are there for every bedroom. It's just to show you that we can also add columns. You can add your own columns, and say for example, if you want to save this, say for example, if you want to save this new in a frame, you can go for df.tocsv and then write, say for example, anything. So new California housing, say like that. Just that, yeah, dot csv, and then we'll just enter, and as you'll see here, just reload it. Oh, sorry, no, yeah, we got it here, and you'll find that this is a new. Okay, continuing, I'll just show one or two more. Let's say we have train underscore df equal to pd dot read csv. We'll just copy the path. Train. Right. train df and test df. Let's say we want to join these two, right? We'll just check the shapes so that they are equal. Otherwise, we won't be able to. So we'll just df dot shape. Right. Let us check that. Yes. So you can see the number equal number of columns. Now obviously the columns will be same. You can check that also. I'll just not and if you want to join these and join these two and get 20,000 rows, what we can do is we can do it in two ways. We can do it in using pandas and to train df. Okay. We can just append dot train df dot append, and it doesn't happen on its own. You need to reassign it. Okay. We can just go for test df, and I guess this will work. May not work. I'll just check and oh, okay, it works. Right? Okay, it works, but there's a problem. What is the problem? That you can see this is not 20,000. This is 2099. So the index from test df has actually been is actually shown here. So just yeah. So
Indexes
what we
are
can do
also
is
appended.
we can ignore the index. Yes.
The
Ignore
indexes are
index
also
equal to
appended.
2. Yeah, the indexes are all appended. If we do ignore index, then you see there's 20,000. So 1 0 to 20,000. You can also here we have done a data frame. We can also do a dict. Say for example, of a dict type. What is a dict? It's a hash table kind of thing. If you already know it in C, C++, and okay, I'll just show you in short what it is. Right? Just dict is nothing but let's say just in short. You give a curly brackets and then there's a string, let's say for example longitude, and you give a colon and say for example it's minus 110, say for example, and a comma, then again you write the next values. This is a dict, and if you have a
Basically,
dict
key value pairs.
with all the yeah, it's a key value pair, yeah, with all the columns, then you can also append it here, and you need to remember that we have to give ignore index equal to true. Okay, so you have that as well. So but you need to store it. So I'll just df equal to this, and then df dot to csv, assign that, and then to csv, and then continue. Anything else that I missed out? Anybody would like to say anything? Any questions?
Yeah, was all of it clear? I mean, anywhere you did not understand.
I
there
guess
are
it won't be clear in the at the first go, but you can actually.
Yeah, you don't need to remember all of these like by heart. Whichever method, you just need to know what else you can do with this. So then you just go and search that up, like what was the method or something if you forget anything. So you can just perform that. So there are a lot of methods. It's not possible for any single individual to remember all of that under every library. Okay, so another notebook I'm giving you, the link in the chat. So if you want to explore more about this data manipulation using pandas, you can explore that. It was similar to the previous one. So here is another series of notebooks. Just go through this in this week. I would say that just go through this and become familiar with all the libraries which you mentioned. Just two of them, like NumPy and Pandas. In the next week, like when we are starting off, we'll do a short quiz. Like we'll take up a COVID dataset and we'll explore some interesting values and analyze the things there. We'll pick up some complex queries also and some sorting methods, and also put in some conditions. And also it will be a short quiz kind of. So just try to go through this. We'll also go along with that. So this week, just cover up the NumPy and the Pandas, these things.
Just asking, is it comfortable on a weekday, or do you want it on weekends specifically, because for the last consecutive 2 days we have been holding it on Wednesdays. So anybody would like to say something?
For me personally, weekdays would be good because in weekends we have other works. So
Okay. Okay.
Who was this? I mean, just name yourself. Okay, okay. Mehdi, was it you?
yeah, it was me. Yeah.
Okay. That's a weekdays. Okay, okay. We'll see just. Yeah, Swadesh, are we done with today's content?
I guess so. I mean, for the time being, I guess this is more than enough. We can also
Yeah,
go
there are a
for
lot of
group
things we
by.
need to
We can
check.
also use group. We could have shown group by as well, but for now, let's not go into all those. Right. This is basic. Yeah. Anything you would like to add?
Yeah. Hello. Am I audible? Hello.
Hello. Yes. Who is it? Name?
Anubhav. Anubhav.
Anubhav. Okay. Okay.
ইয়া বলছি যে যেই নোটবুকগুলো শেয়ার করলে ওগুলো কি থেকে যাবে গুগল কোল্যাবে?
না, নোটবুক গুলো বেসিক্যালি মানে তোর
হ্যাঁ,
ভিউয়েবল
save হয়ে
মোডে
যায়,
আছে।
automatic save হয়ে যায়।
তোর নিজের ড্রাইভে একটা কপি বানিয়ে নিস, তুই যদি চাস কোনো একটা অন্য ফোল্ডারে ঢুকিয়ে মেক আ কপি করে নিস ফাইলে গিয়ে। বাট ওটা থেকে যাবে, তুই লিংক গুলো নিয়ে রেখে দে, থেকে যাবে সেটা, তুই যখনই খুলবি পাবি
আচ্ছা,
সেটা।
আমি তো গুগল কোল্যাবে খুলে দেখলাম এখন একবার, তো এখান থেকে ডাইরেক্ট করা যাবে, মানে সেভ করে নেওয়া যাবে?
হ্যাঁ, ওই উপরে ফাইলে যাবি, ওখানে সব থাকবে, সেভ করতে পারবি তোর মেশিনে। ইউ ক্যান অলসো মেক আ কপি অফ ইট ইন ইওর ওন ইন্ডিভিজুয়াল ড্রাইভ, এনিথিং।
আচ্ছা, ঠিক আছে।
But just keep it for the reference. I mean, there are a lot of content there. You can refer to it back at any time and just go through that one by one notebook. I think there are not many notebooks, like only 9 to 10 of them. So it will hardly take 4 to 5 days to cover up, maximum at max. So after that, we'll be proceeding. Just go through that once, and in the next session, we'll be starting off with, at first, we'll take up a random data set from a real world, say, for example, any real world, say for example a COVID data set, and we'll explore like the various statistics, what can we derive from that. We'll take up some complex queries in a brief session, and then we'll proceed on to the next things. The next things which we're planning on are the visualization things, the graphing and the plotting things, and then slowly we'll move on to the basics of building your first machine learning model using some classifiers, some regressors, and all those techniques. So it will be quite interesting one. Just also another thing, whenever you get the links or any posters, just try to share it with your network. I mean, we may not be able to reach every department and that, so just whoever is there, whoever is having reach in all departments or something, just share it within your friend circle so that others can also join in. Also, anybody is having any issue with the Slack thing? I mean, when we were just texting individually, like they were not familiar with the Slack thing, or maybe confused with some channels and those.
I'm not being able to access the Slack channel of this dev hub.
What is happening? I mean, what is showing? Okay, no issues. You just ping me up on WhatsApp. I'll sort it out. No issues. I have your contact. Okay.
দাদা বলছি
For now, yeah, I just put